Are you developing a mobile app for a business that needs to accept credit card payments for their physical goods? Then Square is a perfect solution, being trusted by millions of businesses. Today, I will show you how easy it is to be able to add the Square API into your Flutter app. First, you will need to visit the Square website for developers and create a free developer's account. A link to that is in this video's description. You will then need to register your app with Square. This will generate a unique app identifier that you will need to use whenever you call the Square API. Now it's time to create a new Flutter app and clean up the starter code. A link to this starter app on GitHub is in this video's description as well. To get started, we will want to add the another_square package from pub.dev to our pub_spec.yaml file and then get packages. Because this is a wrapper of the Square REST APIs for the web, that means that this package can target both Android and iOS, but also Linux, macOS, the web, and Windows. Okay, now onto the code. Since we have a floating action button showing a plus sign already, for the sake of this tutorial, let's create a new Square order whenever the user presses the button. So let's indicate that we are creating an order in the tooltip, and in the onPressed callback, let's make it asynchronous, so we can await on the various network calls we will make. To be able to communicate securely with the Square servers, we will need to instantiate a Square client. This will take an application ID, a client ID, and client secret strings. To get these values, you will need to log back into the Square developer dashboard and select the app that you registered previously. On the left, select OAuth to see the private strings that you will need. As we are just testing, we will use the sandbox values, but before you push your app to production, you will want to swap those values out for the ones in the production tab. We can then copy and paste the string for the application ID. We will also use that same string as our client ID in our app. And we will need the application secret to be the client secret. We will need to await the Square client's initialization. Okay, so let's say we want to create an order with Square. We can do that easily by awaiting the createOrder method of our Square client object. We will need to pass our request to make the order, and we will do that in a minute, but first we will need to pass our auth token. If this was an app in production, we would need to trigger an OAuth flow, having the user sign into their Square developer account from within our app, and authorize our app to access our account. This would trigger a URL redirect to our web server where the Square server would pass a temporary auth token to our web server. We could then use that token in our app whenever we wanted to call the Square API to show that we have been authenticated. As this video is about using the Square APIs and not how OAuth and web servers work, we can use our sandbox access token for testing today, but just realize that before you push to production that you would need to build out the full OAuth workflow. Now for the request itself, we can use createOrderRequest from JSON to easily customize the format and details of our order. To know how to format our order correctly, we can consult the Square Developers API documentation, and a link to that will be included in this video's description. Since we want APIs related to Square orders, we can select orders from the side navigation. We see that we can itemize payments and push them to physical point-of-sale devices and more. Since we want to start with creating an order, we can select Create Order from the list of endpoints. This will have all the information we need to be able to make a successful API call, and they have even included sample order that we can use and learn how things are structured, so I'll just copy the sample JSON to the clipboard. So let's paste the JSON into our app. Now let's see what they have provided. If we have any questions as to what any of the fields mean, we can always refer back to the documentation. For example, the idempotency key. We can see as a value you specify that uniquely identifies this order among orders you have created. For the rest of the code, we can give the order our unique order ID as a reference, and can specify each of the line items in the order by creating a list. Each item has a name, a quantity, and we can set the price. Note how we write the number 1599 to represent $15.99 and set the currency. Some of the commands refer to objects in our catalog by ID, but we haven't set that up on Square at this time, so we can go ahead and delete those. Note how we can compute sales tax and give the percentage and even apply various discounts. One of those discounts also refers to a catalog ID that we don't have set up, so we'll remove it as well. Also, the $sign in the sale title is giving our compiler an error, so we'll add a backslash as an escape character so the compiler doesn't think that we are trying to do any string interpolation there. The next thing we will need to set is at the top of our JSON, the location ID. We will need to set this with our own location ID. To get that, we will need to go back to our Square Developer Dashboard online and open our application. On the left navigation panel, we can select Locations. Here we can see all the locations registered to our account and their corresponding location IDs. I'll copy the location ID for our test account, and then replace it with the one in our sample order code. We are now ready to test everything out, so let's compile and run our app. All we need to do is press the floating action add button to go ahead and create and add the order to Square, and there in the console we can see the response JSON, indicating that the order was successfully created on Square. And that is how easy it is to get started in bringing the power of Square into a Flutter app. Thanks for watching.